Welcome back to the Philadelphia Flyers Junior Hockey pregame show. It's time for our pregame edition of Shutey Says, and we're excited to talk with Shutey here before this game between the Flyers and the Okanagan Eagles. Shutey, unfortunately, it's looking like we're going to have a bit of a delay. Hopefully this doesn't affect the Flyers, who have already gone through their warm-up. But Shutey, talk about this team. What does this team need to do tonight to get 2 much-needed points in the standings?
Well, first of all, they need to take advantage of this delay because it's going to be almost as if the Okanagan Eagles are going to be basically coming off a bus, hurrying it up out there, getting in their routine. They're going to be completely rushed. The Flyers have been here in plenty of time. They're the home team, so they didn't have any struggles on the road of getting here. So they just need to, stay within themselves and, not get caught up in anything silly and really just play their game.
Shutey, something we talked about off air before we started today. What has the progression of this Flyers team been like over the course of this season? This is a topic I think we can cover now that we only have 3 home games left. What have you seen from this team over the course of the however many months it's been since September?
I mean, they've definitely shown some signs of being more competitive as the season has gone on. Unfortunately, they really haven't gotten themselves in a groove to where they could really pile themselves, dig themselves out of what has been piled up to them toward the bottom of the standings. But and we've seen a lot of names and faces change all year. And for the most part, some of the newer guys have done a great job, like a Reed Bibb, who is right now the team leader in points, combining what he did at South Shore and what he's done so far with the Flyers. So, the progression is from a competitive standpoint, yes, they've absolutely gotten better as the season has went on.
Shutey, a big topic that we've been talking about all week amongst ourselves I'm sure the team's talked about it as well. This team has lost Nick Polsinelli, who was an all-star just a couple days ago. What will the team have to do in order to fill the void, however big, or I'm not going to even say small, but however big you want to say the void is? What do they have to do to fill that void that he leaves?
It's going to be a lot of hard work and continue with a team effort, because even with Polsinelli in the lineup, Polsinelli's a great player, but, he wasn't Wayne Gretzky where, he did everything himself. Pols is an outstanding player in this league, and, he had his teammates to help him out too. So everybody just has to step up their game a little bit, and everybody's got to pull their weight.
In terms of this game, if the Flyers get a lead, this is something that I think we've also talked about this year. What do you want to see this team to do tonight if they get a lead, however big it is, be it 2, 3, or 4 goals? Because this team, unfortunately, has had a tendency to let up in games that they've had a lead.
Exactly, and they absolutely cannot do that. They need to continue to put pressure on. I know I've said sometimes where I would like to see them maybe just protect the lead over time and play that boring hockey. I don't think they're at a level where they can afford to play the boring hockey. They just really have to put as much pressure on and keep the puck down the other end, because sometimes your best offense is your best defense.
It's absolutely true. Shutey, something that we actually were just talking about, you have some information per league sources, something that may improve a postseason picture. What is it?
I do. As we have, if we have said the one edition of Shutey Says during intermission break, my one league source had told me that 8 was going to play 9 in a play-in game. But now from what I'm hearing, this is a 10-team league. 7 is going to host 10 in a play-in game, and 8 is going to host 9 in a play-in game. So it looks like no matter what, the Philadelphia Flyers junior hockey team will get at least one extra postseason game. I want to call it a playoff game, but it is a game of playoff implications in which their season would be on the line.
It would, and obviously, as of now, if the season were to end today, Springfield would be 7, playing Okanagan at 10, and the Pal Junior Islanders would be hosting the Flyers. Flyers are just 6 points out of that 8th seed, so we could potentially see a postseason game. That would definitely be interesting and something cool to see in terms of the way this season has looked for this team. Shutey, one last question, and it's the easiest one. Who's your standout in this game?
My standout of the game is Jeff Epwright. If you read the weekend preview on USPHLFlyers.com, you'd see I've talked Jeff Epwright up quite a bit. He's a kid with a big frame. He's got to get into the dirty areas and score goals, and he's already scored twice against this Okanagan Eagles team in the previous 3 meetings. So I'm looking for Jeff Epwright to get in there and put some pucks in the net.
Important to note that the Flyers do have a 2-1 record against Okanagan, so it's a very winnable game, but a game that could be won by this team tonight, which would be great to see here on Home Ice. Shutey, we'll talk to you during the second intermission.
All right, thanks, DJ.
We'll be right back on the Philadelphia Flyers hockey pregame show here on Hockey TV. Welcome back to Philadelphia Philadelphia Flyers junior hockey here on Hockey TV. It's time for the second intermission of the USPHL's #1 intermission show, Shutey Says. Shutey, it's been 40 minutes of hockey. We're tied at 1-1. The Flyers have the lead in shots through those 40 minutes. What have you observed down there in your little area so far in this one?
Well, as the game's progressing, the Flyers are really starting to pour it on to the Okanagan Eagles. Their goaltender, Louis Felix St. John, has made some amazing saves. One in particular, I didn't quite catch the number of the Flyers shooter at point-blank range, but it was one of those where the puck came from his left to his right, and he got his full body. He just flew his entire body and just blocked it with his chest. Amazing save going side to side.
It really has been more of a defensive game so far. Both teams getting their opportunities, but both defenses coming through strongly. What have you seen in terms of the Flyers have only had one power play, but overall not much came of it? What do you want to see the team do if they were to get more power plays in this game to try to get a lead in this one?
Yeah, well, it looks like their puck possession and their movement's been great, but there's been a couple times where I feel that they've had a guy in a good shooting spot that's, he decided to pass the puck off instead of taking the shot. I would like to see some more shots on the power play. But going back to the defense, I got to point out two great defensive plays from the Flyers, and it was both on the speedster of Okanagan. This Chris Lee can fly, and there were two instances where one, it was Kyle Walter that I thought for sure Lee was going to go one-on-one, made a heck of a back check, and he hustled so much, he was actually able to turn around and kind of skate backwards to take him off the puck. So it was impressive back checking by Walter and getting himself in position. And on Lee again, another time. Again, I thought for sure he was going to be able to go one-on-one with Matt Beck, and it was Carter Dwyer that time that absolutely disrupted the play, and they got no shots out of it. And surprisingly enough, the Okanagan Eagles scored at 11:45 left. They have yet to register a shot on goal since their goal.
Interesting. I actually haven't picked that up. You talked about St. Jean. Talk about Matt Beck in the other end.
Yeah, Matt's making some great saves as well. There's been a couple flurries, especially in this period, where he was just fighting off puck after puck, and it was just an absolute shooting range out there. They were just putting $1 in the machine. They were just getting 4 pucks at a time, but Matt was able to stay strong. He was able to fight them all off and make the tie-ups to slow down the game, and ever since, he's gotten a lot more help in front of him after giving up that one goal, which was a heck of a shot by Mr. Bowden Taugus. That was a heck of a shot going top corner there right over his blocker. But ever since then, Matt's really put it together, and so is the defense in front of him.
The physicality in this game has picked up as well. It's one of those games where not much is being called, so the teams are going to start to get a little more physical. Do the Flyers need to step up here and bring that physicality in order to get another goal or two to try to take this one?
They absolutely do, because I think that they are the more physical team out of the two. The Okanagan team is flying around. They need to, chip some bodies to slow their pace and play at the Flyers' pace of the game. And I think they have to be careful, though, because I know we don't think there's going to be much that's going to be called, but there is a line that they can't cross. So they need to play physical but fair.
Well, definitely, I'm not sure if the camera picked it up. I hope it did. The Flyers' one power play came after there was some contact with the goaltender. Okanagan thought there should have been a goaltender interference penalty. Instead, the Flyers were able to benefit from the referee turning his head, seeing a Flyer player get tripped down, and that's what gave them their power play.
Sure, and it is tough out there. It is only a one ref system. We're working with one ref and two linesmen, and it is hard for the one guy to pick everything up. I know at one point in this early stage of this league, we were running 4 men out there, and it's tough for one guy, and he's naturally they are going to miss some stuff, but he's trying to do the best he can. But I know he'd rather see the game just keep progressing rather than slow it down.
It's definitely a tougher. I can speak to it personally, being an official. It's tough being the only one out there in those bands, and anyone that's been listening to broadcast so far this year, I've been advocating for 4-man in this league for so long, considering a junior league of equal or maybe just a little lesser value, we'll say, uses 4-man. Shutey, one final question for you. What do you want to see improve, if anything, for the Flyers to get a win?
Well, I don't really know if there's anything I can pinpoint for improvement of what I would see in the third, but I'm going to go back to my standout star again that has not yet produced a goal, and that's Jeff Epbright, because he has been involved in some big plays, and he's been in those dirty areas right in that goal crease. Just haven't been able to put a loose puck over top of the Frenchman St. Jean, but I think he's going to get his opportunity. He's got 20 minutes to do it, so the improvement is I want to see Jeff Epbright score a goal.
Will do. Shutey, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the game.
All right, thanks, DJ.
We'll be right back on the Philadelphia Flyers Junior Hockey pregame show. Second intermission show. We'll be right back.